So after driving the 240 for a few days now, I've kind of realized that there are a couple clearance issues, I guess, in the front end specifically. The rear is absolutely perfect. I haven't heard any rubbing, but I have had some issues with steering. So today is just going to be one of those videos where I'm just going to kind of show at least kind of what you can do, I guess, to make some more clearance without kind of messing up too much, I guess, without cutting and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to do today. We also might kind of mess with a little bit of alignment stuff because my wheel is like turned like 30 degrees to the left, or to the right, excuse me, and it's a little bit weird to drive, and I can just see that the alignment is a little bit off, so we might just mess with the tie rods just a little bit in the front just to kind of see if we can get the alignment a little bit more dialed in. But yeah, we'll obviously get a true alignment, but I called the shop that I get it done at, and they're not free till next week sometime, so we're gonna do what we can for the time being, and you know, we'll see what else we dive into today. Man, I just could not get enough of this engine bay. I don't know about you guys, but this is like the dream right here. This is the dream. It's you can hear like a 350 or 370 just revving out there. Freaking racer. So yeah, I don't know if I mentioned or if you guys have seen, we got the hood dampeners in there. Before I was rocking the old like 2x4, so that's gone. And I mean, woo, man, it looks so clean. Oh my goodness. Tucked radiator setup. I know this is like not even really relative to the video, but I'll kind of just make this video a little bit of random stuff, I guess. The blue stuff, that's not going to stay. So all that kind of random blue silicone stuff is going to go eventually. Just haven't really had the chance to go out to the shop where we get those things at. So yeah, don't worry about that, because I'm not digging it too much, obviously. It just kind of stands out. It's kind of weird. But other than that, I mean, no complaints whatsoever. I might have a little bit of an intake leak coming from the bottom of the intake manifold. I might just go around and just snug up all the bolts left. Oh God, as I almost trip and fall. But yeah, I mean, whoo, I didn't have this on camera, but I also raised the front end a little bit, just about maybe half an inch, all, you know, just on both fronts. Because if let's see if I can show you guys what I was having issues with. So if you guys can see in there, so as you guys can see, this is inside the wheel well. You can see it's had a bit of rubbing, you know what I'm saying? You can definitely see a little bit of a mark. It's weird though, on the other side, there isn't a mark. So, but there are different places where it was rubbing. So I raised it just for that case, because to be honest, that's really the only way to do it, unless you want to actually start beating in that piece of the bodywork, and I definitely do not want to do that, because then you'll see it, you know, on the inside here in the engine bay, and that's just not going to be cool by any means. So like I said, I just raised it, you know, maybe half an inch. And with 240s, it's kind of weird because they sit with the front end higher, you know, normally. Otherwise, they kind of have like a little bit of a rake. But for front end, I mean, this is by no means a quote-unquote stance car or anything like that. Like, I'm not really going for lowness, I guess, you know, that's not really my thing. This year is just kind of a nice, practical, really drivable kind of setup. So basically, like I said, you know, raised up the front. The rear is just sitting absolutely perfect. The rear is just creme de la creme. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's as good as it gets for the rear, I believe. 0 degrees of camber, at least very close to it, which is exactly what I want. Get that grip. Alright, so we're just going to dive into the whole kind of wheel clearance thing. I already did one side. I did the passenger side, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I did on that side over on the driver's side. It's a real simple, I guess, you know, just way of getting some clearance, but a lot of people tend to chop it out or whatever, you know, whatever it may be, and that's just a big no-no, especially with where that little seam is. I'll show you guys. I'm going to get the wheel off, jack the car up, and we'll start using that hammer and getting some clearance under there. But don't worry, we're gonna be safe with the hammer. We're gonna be safe. We'll be safe. So I'm probably going to get a bunch of questions regarding my wheel setup, so I'm going to go over it right now with you guys, all of you, so hopefully you guys will all have an idea as to what kind of setup I'm running. So if you guys want kind of the same look, you'll be able to get it. So we have the Enki RPF 1s. They're 17x9s all the way around, square setup, plus 22 offset all the way around. The reason why we went plus 22 and not 35 or whatever, you know, the main 240 size is because the 35 or whatever close around there, the spokes actually have like a convexed, you know, kind of a bowed out spoke look to them as opposed to the concave. And for me, that was a huge deal. So I'm not a big fan of the other ones. These ones are just where it's at, in my opinion. The other ones just look like crap, you know, to be honest. But so yeah, and then they're wrapped in some BF Goodrich G-Force Rivals 255 by 40/17s. Some nice grippy, you know, 200 treadwear tires. So yeah, those are awesome. So for clearance issues with my coilover, I had to run a 15mm spacer. That right there is a Phase 2 Motor Trend one. I specifically like these ones because they're black, so you can't really see them. And then and also in the rear, I had to mill the back spacing down about 6mm, just because I wasn't able to clear, or should I say, I would have to run a few degrees of camber in the rear, and that's with a bit of a pulled fender, nothing crazy, but definitely pulled a little bit, just a little bit of a kind of stock looking pull. So obviously you could pull them more and just run it without the milling, but I decided to go with the mill. It's about 5 or 6mm off, so that kind of bumps it up to a plus 36 or 37, or excuse me, 27 offset. But it's still a plus 22 offset wheel because you get that spoke design. So that's that. Kind of a little bit of a pain to get them to fit just how I wanted to, but obviously that's just because I'm kind of picky with, you know, camber and stuff like that. So the front is definitely kind of popping out a little bit. I'll show you on this side. You can kind of see it. Pops out a bit, so we're gonna have to pull the fenders a little bit up front. They're already running a couple 2 or 3 degrees of camber, negative camber, so we'll figure that out, you know, when the time comes. I'll borrow a roller and we'll get that sorted out. But yeah, that kind of goes over the whole wheel setup, so hopefully that answers all your questions. Also, I'm probably gonna get asked about my coilovers. They're Stance GR Pro Pluses. Real nice set of coilovers, and the brakes right now I currently have are Q45 brakes, but I should be getting a super nice dinner plate disc setup, so it's gonna be sweet. Stay tuned for that. But so on to the whole wheel clearance issues. So as you guys can see, we have a bit of a seam that goes up the kind of side of the car here, and that's where the tire starts to rub. Actually, I can show you guys on the tire already. It's already, you guys can kind of see that, right? It's a little bit shiny here. You can feel the groove. It's a little bit lower. So that's where we were hitting. We were also hitting up top here. That's why I had to raise it a little bit. So yeah, just this is part of the fun and games. This is just part of the fun and games that comes with wheels, especially, you know, bigger wheels than are intended. Mainly just because, like, last year I didn't really have an issue and I had actually a bigger wheel, but the meat on this thing is just crazy. The tire just bulges out a solid amount, so that's pretty much why we're having issues. But so, like I said, we're not going to really touch that area because I don't want to start bashing into it. Up top, you just kind of want to tuck your wires at least as high as you can get them to go. I'm not done with all the wiring here, at least kind of, I want to make it look a little bit cleaner. You know, this is just the final little touches here and there. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and just kind of use a set of, like a crescent wrench actually, and just kind of slip it over here and just kind of bend it to the side. Like I said, you don't want to cut it because this is important. This is like structural. That holds a couple body panels together. So what we're going to do is, yeah, use that crescent wrench, and then from there, you're basically just going to whip out that hammer and start beating it down. But be gentle. Try not to split it. If your car is rusted, be careful. But yeah, that's our whole thing there. So we're gonna do that, and that should clear up our wheel clearance issues. I've been also wanting to do like a full like paint job in here, just like with some bed liner or some like undercoating, just to make it look all clean again. I'll probably do it. Honestly, I'd love to do the whole car, like rails and underneath everything. That would be sweet. That's gonna be a pretty long project. So we'll at least start with the wheel wells and then we'll go from there. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and start getting this thing sorted out, and we'll move on to the next project. Alright, so as you guys can see, or maybe you won't be able to even tell on camera, but got that thing pretty bent over almost all the way. You can barely just slide the tip of your finger in between that seam. So it's definitely a lot, you know, further in than it used to be. Now another one that some people, and I already did it actually, is there's a little seam up here as well. It's this guy right here. So basically I already kind of bashed mine in, but usually it sits down about here. and you know, just runs across the whole thing. So I don't see any rubbing, because you would see like bare metal where the tire rubs, but I don't see any of that. So I'm clear there, but for some of you this may be an issue. Don't cut it. Again, just go ahead and kind of bash it to the side, and that should do you guys some good. So there you guys have it. We're gonna put the wheel back on, give her a nice little turn, and see how we're doing with clearance. Hopefully it should be clear. Alright, so now that I think about it, like I told you guys, I wanted to kind of mess with the front end alignment. So since the wheel is off already, I might as well just kind of mess with the tie rod end right now. So I got the wheel straight, you know, got her pointing nice and straight now, and I can see that the wheel, it's already kind of pointed in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten the tie rod, and what that's going to do is that's going to bring the rear end in, you know what I'm saying? So that's going to kind of counteract. The reason why I believe it changed is because I messed with the top plates and I added a little bit more camber. So once you bring the wheel in, it wants to kind of, it just messes with all the geometry stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, take the tie rod end off, and just give it a couple turns. I never they're still factory tie rod ends, so hopefully they're a little bit rusty. As you guys can see, they're a little bit old, but you know, hopefully they should come off. I'll hit them with a little bit of PB Blast or let them soak up for a bit, and then we'll take them off, spin them in, or should I say whatever, you know, just whatever we need to do. Lengthen them, shorten them, whatever, and we should be good. We'll do the same on the other side. We'll see how this side turns out, and then we'll kind of go from there, and hopefully this will fix it. The first time I've kind of really messed with my own alignment as far as, you know, like steering rack and stuff like that, so should go well. Kind of makes sense as far as, you know, just adjusting it. So for those of you that are kind of wondering and want to fix your wheel or whatever like that, if you're kind of pointing the wrong direction or whatever it may be, just, you know, give this a shot. Alright, so just a quick little heads up for you guys. I told you I was going to take off the whole tie rod end, but that's really not necessary. I didn't realize, but there's actually like a spot for a wrench here. It's actually flat, so you can go ahead and just lengthen or shorten it from there. Just loosen up this little knock nut, and makes it a whole lot easier. So I decided to work a little bit smarter and not harder, and as you guys can see, got the front end jacked up, so it's just kind of level. Both wheels are off up the front, and what I went ahead and did and just, you know, pop this wheel on, a couple lug nuts to hold it on for now, and then basically just kind of get under there, reach my hand underneath there, and start, you know, adjusting the rod. So as you guys can see, the wheel is kind of pointing out a little bit, so we lengthen the rod, it'll bring it out. You kind of see what I'm saying? So that's just going to kind of make it a little bit, at least drive straight, more straight, should I say, than what it was. Hopefully this even fixed the whole alignment issue up front, because that's really where it just needs adjustment. The rear is all right. I'm sure it could use, you know, adjusting, just because I also did that by eye. But yeah, this is definitely going to make it a little bit easier to kind of get both sides done, as opposed to jacking one side up and the other side up, and then, you know, so yeah, let's get back to it. Alright, so car's back on the ground. We adjusted it, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty cherry right now. It looks a little bit, maybe just a little bit off, just a hair, but to be honest, it's going to be a whole lot better, I believe, than what it was. So I'm happy with it, at least for now. If anything, we'll take it for a spin, and we'll just kind of see where we're at as of, you know, as far as these adjustments go. But yeah, I'm super pumped about it, and pretty stoked on how easy it was, I guess. Also, since the last time you guys saw a video from me, I probably didn't show you that I made up a little bit of a bracket to kind of support the bumper, because before, this part of the bumper used to just kind of sag down a little bit, and there used to be a pretty big gap in the hood. So what I did at work, you probably won't be able to see them really. Alright, so you can kind of see it. So as you guys can see on the top of the front mount there, I kind of made and bent up like this piece of tube, kind of smashed it down, drilled a hole so you can put a bolt through it, and then kind of bent it up, and it just hooks up to the top of the bumper. You can't really see it because the cooling panel's in the way, but I just bolted it in, you know, and it's actually pretty solid now. It fits up a whole lot better. It lines up with the headlights a lot better as well. And yeah, so had to do a little bit of cutting on the bumper to kind of get it to fit at least, you know, decently, you know, but I think I did a pretty good job with that. So yeah, honestly, this probably is just going to do for this video, guys. I just figured I'd kind of let you in on what I'm doing today. Figured I had some time to toss the camera on. So yeah, if you guys kind of like these more casual videos, just kind of me doing whatever on the car, if it's nothing too kind of, you know, in-depth or specific, just, you know, hit that thumbs up button. It would be super awesome if you guys would do so. I might go for a little bit of a drive right now. We might put the camera on, as I almost trip on the same thing. Oh, the one thing that I was going to do is create like a little bit of a heat shield that just kind of protects the brake master a little bit. I have I have an old heat shield that I had from my air intake last year, so I might be able to use that, cut it up a little bit, because it already has some gold reflective tape on it. So we might do that. You guys might see the next video. This one is just going to be kind of like a little short quickie today, but hope you guys enjoyed it. But as always, you know, this car, man, just loving it. Absolutely loving it. Even I haven't really been able to drive it, you know, over too much boost, but the boost that I've been able to get in, it's actually been really safe. Like, I've been watching the air-fuel ratios, and I'm able to get up to 7 psi, but you guys probably know that from the last video that you just saw, the little bit of a first drive. But yeah, I mean, the sounds this thing makes, and I just cannot wait to just mat it and just hear that turbo spool. For those of you that aren't aware, we have ARP head studs and an OEM head gasket that was just replaced last year, and the whole head has been not last year, the year before that. And then yes, then we also had the whole head kind of torn apart and just kind of, you know, got back into clearance, like spec'd clearance. And it's pretty much cherry. So yeah, this is just ready to make some boost, guys. I cannot wait to see what you puts down on the dyno. Hopefully this weekend. I know it's just been kind of getting pushed back, but you know, just towing arrangements haven't worked out, and the math kind of, you know, got me in a little bit of a corner. So yeah, but other than that, she's ready to go now. Everything is pretty much there. I'm just gonna tighten up the intake manifold bolts a little bit. But, alright, you guys are probably done listening to me talk, but, yeah, like I said, you know, thank you so much for watching, guys. Really do appreciate the support, and hope you guys have a killer rest of your day. Peace.